Yo, what's going on, Lucky Lefty Nation, man? It's your guy, SD2 Mics, Malik Zaire, who's rather upset right now. This is the Lucky Lefty
Very.
podcast. If you haven't seen it already, we dropped the Slant, Can't Knock the Hustle earlier today. Go check that out. It is up on the Lucky Lefty podcast cast. We have some really, really good stuff. Of course, we covered the Brian Kelly press conference, and we got into some other things from the weekend in college football. But today we're here. This is our CFP live show. We apologize for the lateness on this episode. Each and every time we'll be doing this live at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays during the actual unveiling. We missed the opportunity. We had our top four that we had predicted, and based upon what we see, my brother, I told you that the Spartans would be in the top four. Did I not?
Unfortunately, you did.
Yes, I did. I did. And I'll give you the reasons why in a second. So let's go over the top four here, man. You see that Georgia ended up being number one. We expected that at the unveiling. Alabama was shocking to everybody at number two. Number three, Michigan State. And number four was Oregon. Number five, Ohio State, which basically tells us that the difference between Ohio State and Oregon is the fact that Oregon won that matchup. All right. Cincinnati came in at 6. What's the most shocking thing for you, my brother, about that top 6 right there?
I thought Cincinnati should be in over Michigan State, and then Ohio State should be over Michigan State. But that's just my opinion. I don't think either one of the Michigan schools deserve to be where they are, especially over Notre Dame. However, I know that if they were going to put Ohio State anywhere near the top 5, Oregon had to be in there just because they beat them at home. And so it's crazy where they put Oklahoma, and dropping Cincinnati so low to 6. At least if you're going to drop them out of 2, put them above Ohio State just because, but we know that would never happen. So, it's still weeks to go. Interestingly enough, hopefully, some of those teams will play each other and we can keep falling in the rankings.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I'll take by this. Well, let's go to the rest of the top 10. We had Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati. Michigan comes in at number 7, Oklahoma at 8, Wake Forest number 9, Notre Dame number 10. Let's talk about this. I was on another podcast and I tried to explain to people, look, stop falling for this hot take narrative that people don't love Notre Dame. All right, I'm telling you from inside knowledge that the NCAA and the people in that boardroom love Notre Dame, love the brand of Notre Dame, and want to have a reason to include Notre Dame in the top 4 because the college football playoff and future expansion is all about money.
Yeah.
Money. And the biggest money-making brand in college football from a TV revenue standpoint is Notre Dame. If Notre Dame gives the committee a reason to include them, they're going to sneak them in.
Oh,
so
100%.
So for Notre Dame to be at number 10, now the media, national media is an entirely different thing. Entirely different thing. But I'm strictly talking about the people in that room, in the committee, whose job is to make the best tournament that will make the most money that will be allowed by the resumes in front of them. That's their job. So with that in mind, the fact that Notre Dame is at number 10 and Cincinnati is at number 6, it tells me one thing. It doesn't tell me anything about Cincinnati. You know what it tells me? It tells me, yo, dang, Notre Dame, that's a really bad loss. That's a really bad loss. That's what it says. The committee is telling Notre Dame, we love you, but that's a really bad loss because we don't really respect Cincinnati like that.
And you're absolutely right. It just shows us that to be even in the double digits, it's just like it tanked us. I mean, them having an undefeated record tanked them. So it just shows that, we always have those games in our season where it's a make it or break it game for us to get in the playoffs or make it close. This year, Cincinnati was the game. A year ago, Clemson was the game, and when
Yep.
we beat them, we got into the playoffs. The year before was Georgia. We lost. We still got to the playoffs, but it was against the Buzzsaw. So for us, it just shows that every game we play is important, and every game should be a playoff game for us because we're not playing for a necessary conference championship. So the weight of Cincinnati and what the committee thinks of them is shown is going to be hard for them unless they blow people out by 50 points to get the respect to even get put in, because six is pretty far considering a lot can happen between now and then.
I totally agree, and we know for a fact Oregon really controls his own destiny.
Yeah.
Georgia controls his own destiny. So does Alabama. Cincinnati has no shot.
No shot.
Cincinnati is just hoping for chaos at this point in time. They're just hoping for chaos. Ohio State controls his own destiny. But, we know Ohio State and Michigan State, they play each other.
Right.
So somebody's dropping back.
Somebody's dropping back.
Somebody's dropping back. If you're Notre Dame, your hope should be that Michigan State wins that game against Ohio State, because that would give Ohio State 2 losses and give you a better reason to be in front of Ohio State. And then you can hope for Michigan State to lose later on down the season, possibly in the Big Ten championship game. I mean,
Ohio State won't lose that Michigan State game. So for us, we wasn't really expecting to get into the playoffs. We thought we would slip in due to how Alabama lost. But I know we'll finish out the season like we're supposed to. And, we just have to trust however the cards lay. We just have to do our job.
Another stinging thing here. Lincoln Riley has to feel like, number 8?
Yeah, number 8.
Number 8? I mean, I would honestly
put them at 6. I thought they was going to be 6 or 5.
6 or 7, I would put them in front of Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. Michigan must be paying somebody a lot of money because
I don't get Michigan love.
The way they lost, they should be behind us.
Yeah, you give up, a double-digit lead late in that game against Michigan.
I turned the game off
on the road. Yeah,
I turned the game off when it was 30-14.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is they only scored 3 points. After that, it's a shame.
All right, we got a question here from. We appreciate you guys watching. If you have a question, go ahead, type it up. We'll get to it. Joshua Nip. If Alabama loses the SEC championship, do they still make it? There's still a lot of chaos that can happen. Oh, I totally agree. I think, but I mean, in your scenario, if Alabama does make it to the SEC championship game, which is going to be tough in my opinion, not because I think anybody can beat them that's in front of them, but we always talk about rivalry games. And somehow, some way, Auburn always finds a way to make that last game the day after Thanksgiving tough on Alabama. They just always find a way. Always find a way. 2 years ago, we thought they didn't have a chance with Bo Nix, and they end up winning. So
I think
that's just the type of game you have to watch, and they've already shown that on the road they can be beaten. But if they get to the SEC championship game, and from what I've seen, I really don't think. See, this is what bothers me. The message sent is this is our eye test. Like, this is an eye test.
Yeah.
This is why this angers me for looking at Notre Dame and Oklahoma. This is the eye test, right? Eye test of Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler. Totally get why Oklahoma could be at 8.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Eye test of Oklahoma with Caleb Williams from second half against Texas until now. Oklahoma could be a top 4 team.
For sure.
Could be a top 4 team. So if you balance that out,
Well, I'll be a top 5 team.
Yeah. So if you balance that out, they should be around 5 or 6, right?
That's what I thought they was gonna be 5 or 6.
Let's be honest. Notre Dame, eye test with the loss, you're probably looking 7, 8.
Yeah, we just don't have pizzazz to get into the.
Yeah, we just don't. Or for Alabama to be at 2, has to be eye test.
Yeah, I didn't think they would be less than 3, really, because I thought the least they would be is 3, considering it's the Alabama Invitational every year.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, man, look, this is one of those years where, and they tell us all the time, like, we scrap everything up and we go into every weekend with a brand new slate. So don't read anything into these rankings. But the one thing you have to read into these rankings is eye test and who's the better team over your resume. They considered Cincinnati a really bad loss for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They don't think Cincinnati is a better team than Notre Dame. I agree with that. And they expect better from Notre Dame, and Notre Dame started turning it on too late in the season.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't even know if there's real meat on the bone for Notre Dame. You know, other than chaos, I don't see a lot of meat on the bone for Notre Dame.
Unless Wisconsin just goes crazy.
Which we talked about. Wisconsin can still win the Big Ten West and get to the championship game, and possibly, you know, if they have a close game with Ohio State or Michigan State, whomever makes it that far, they strengthen Notre Dame's chance.
But none of the ACC wins are going to give us any benefit this year unless we play and beat Wake Forest.
That's true. But if Notre Dame runs the table and Wisconsin wins the Big Ten West, Notre Dame will have wins over Wisconsin in the Big Ten West in a close loss to an undefeated Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But the committee seems to be counting that loss against Notre Dame. That's what I'm reading right here.
Yeah, heavily.
Heavily counting that Cincinnati loss against Notre Dame because
there's it's more on Cincinnati. They really dropped them 4 spots, and they haven't skipped a beat on what they was able to accomplish. I think they're the most disheartened because they know 6 means they're not even considered to be in that top 4.
Yeah. Daniel Wade said, no UC in the top 4. I said the CFP committee would not give themselves an out, and that's exactly what they did. Fair or not.
Yeah, man, I think they was like, you know, listen, we're trying to be serious and make this money. Cincinnati pulling pennies compared to Michigan State and any of these Big Ten teams. And then we can't count out the 2 SEC juggernauts every year. So it's really an Alabama Invitational with a Big Ten invite.
Yeah, and they always, what I told you about Notre Dame, they're begging Notre Dame to give them a reason.
Yeah, they give us the benefit of the doubt.
And they're begging everybody else to give them a reason not to put Cincinnati in. This committee does not want to put Cincinnati in the playoff. They don't. Not personally. It's not like they personally dislike Cincinnati in the program. Just the collective and the business plan that is the playoff.
But we've tied ourselves to them by losing because we can't rise any higher, and they keep rising.
Yeah,
so we're tied to them. So if they keep dropping, we'll drop. If we keep rising, they'll rise because of that loss links us to them. We know we'll finish strong, and they'll keep that as their back joker card that we played a 1-loss Notre Dame team, and their loss was to us.
Yeah, and they're the only team from their conference, the AAC, that's even ranked in the top 25. And that's with 2 teams that are 7-1 in SMU and Houston.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they face SMU later in the season. You know, Gary Barter, he came on, and they interviewed him. He said the win at Notre Dame was a really impressive win. Uh, but who else did they beat? Yeah, that they're telling you we really don't respect this Notre Dame team from an eye test standpoint. Like,
Yeah, they're like
no,
Notre Dame is not that big of a deal to us anymore. We done seen them in the playoffs 3, 4 times and come up with nothing. So they're not even giving them the benefit of the doubt for beating us as much. That's why it was unfortunate for both teams that Cincinnati won.
so once again, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon round out the top four in the initial release of the college football playoffs. I told Malik that Michigan State would get in at around 2 or 3. He thought I was crazy, but from my experience, just being close to people that are on the committee and talking to people that have worked with the committee in the past, their way of thinking is that they value the Power Five
Oh
a
yeah.
lot. And they, right behind the SEC, the Big Ten gets the most credit in that room. Like
It would ruin
SEC,
a lot of things if they put Cincinnati over Ohio State or Oklahoma, especially if they stayed undefeated,
yeah.
because the recruiting landscape would change drastically if kids know that, oh, we can go to the playoffs if we're at Cincinnati. What's stopping the Toledo? What's stopping the Fresno State? What's stopping these coastal Carolina teams and Tulsa's and Memphis that go one loss every year? And you're like, oh, well, why doesn't Memphis? Because Memphis doesn't look good playing Alabama in a final duel for the who's the best team in college football, because we know.
And that's coming though. Excuse me, that's coming. The expansion is coming. I don't know if it's going to be 6. I don't know if it's going to be 8. The more they expand, the greater the advantage will be for Notre Dame, right? Because now Notre Dame is not under pressure to have to go undefeated. They want to find a reason to put Notre Dame in the college football playoff. If it goes to 8, Notre Dame has an greater advantage. Even if it goes to 6, they have a greater advantage. Especially if it was 6 this year, you would feel much better about going from 10 to 6 than going from 10 to 4.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like Alabama is still better than 4 or 5 of the other teams or Georgia. So some teams we just know,
Yeah.
but then again, having it expanded, I would like to see us play in Oklahoma and Ohio State and Oregon. I think those will be good matchups to give us credit for the next year and give us some respect back. Right now, we won't get any respect until we start winning in a potential playoff situation, because right now we max out our season every year. I don't think it's pressure to go undefeated. I just think we're built to operate on a 10-win, 9-win type of season. So it'll be interesting to see, obviously, Ohio State playing Michigan State, how it shakes out.
Yeah.
But probability, and if I had to put my money on Notre Dame, I think we'll finish just how we want to. And we're just going to be something like a 2000 and what 13 situation, or
Yeah.
where we would have went, but who was it at the time? Kansas State beat, wasn't Oregon at that time or something like that. So you know, I think that would give us a better ending to a season, because we didn't think in the beginning that we were going to make a playoff run anyway. So if a season is decided due to the one loss that we pretty much thought we would have anyway, I mean, hey, it's a nice transition season. The guys are getting better.
As I said before, look, do you want to actually make progress, whether you think it's theoretically, or would you rather find your way into the back end of college football playoff and get your head beat in? It's
Yeah, I
like,
mean, us having we would be 6 or the last spot anyway, so that would make us play Georgia, Alabama early. And what?
no, if it's a 16, if it's 18, then yes, we would play 1 or 2 early. If it's a 6, 1 and 2 get the bye, then we play 3, the third ranked team first, which will be one of those Oregon, Ohio State teams you previously talked about.
And that's like our max right now.
Yeah,
We can play with an Ohio State. We can play with them. I don't know if we'll get over the hump this year, but that's right around where we should be happy about our season. I think anything other than that, because if we went off of the rankings this year, we would be a 7 or 8 seed getting in.
Yeah.
And playing the eventual champs anyway. Because Georgia could win with their backups.
And Michigan State being at 3, Gary Barter talked about them. He said they're undefeated. They were down big late in that game against Michigan. They didn't panic and they came back. So once again, the eye test. It was very impressive the way Michigan State came back.
But Michigan is so phony. Beating Michigan is not impressive. Only because
at the time it's impressive because Michigan is undefeated.
Yeah, but that's like saying beating Wake Forest. Michigan State doing that versus Wake Forest. It's not necessarily impressive, but I guess it's impressive because they're undefeated. But Alabama or any of these other teams playing Wake Forest, it's a dub.
Oh, absolutely. I think Wake Forest being undefeated in an otherwise soft ACC this year, which is, like you said, not an impressive slate of opponents this season. So Virginia's okay. Virginia Tech is down. Pitt was okay until they lost to Miami. And Miami beating Pitt made Michigan State's schedule stronger.
Yeah.
The schedule was stronger because they went to Miami and dubbed them up. So this is how everything works, and this is how you get Michigan State strength of schedule getting bumped up with that Miami win and then having an impressive comeback win. The eye test based upon what the committee saw from that comeback win. Yeah, they wanted to put Michigan State in the top 4, and that's how they ended up there. Oregon has been on life support since they beat Ohio State. They've been unimpressive. In Pac-12 play, another questionable conference, but they could have lost a couple of those games to lesser opponents, but they have found a way to win. I'll give them that credit.
But they got that good tie. We got the bad tie being tied to Cincinnati. They got the good tie being tied to Ohio State. They respect Ohio State a lot. That's why they even
better brand. Absolutely.
So by nature, they just can't put Oregon below Ohio State because they beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
So Oregon is only propped up because they did what they were supposed to do and win a tough road game. That's like their golden ticket because now they can't be any lower than Ohio State no matter what Ohio State does.
Yeah.
So Oregon will just so happen to unfortunately end up playing Georgia early and get smacked up. But it's only because they beat Ohio State and Ohio State doesn't have control over it. So the better they get, the more benefit goes to Oregon.
And once again, you talk about this all the time. When is the narrative going to change at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly? We know that Notre Dame under Brian Kelly beats the teams that they're supposed to beat. But you have to do more. Not only beat the teams, but you have to begin to dominate the teams that you are supposed to beat. I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, struggling against Toledo, struggling against Purdue, having Florida State down, allowing them to come back, and it going needing a field goal. Like all of those are negatives on
Virginia
your record.
Tech field goal at the last second.
All of those are negatives.
Yeah.
All of those are negatives, and you're not giving the committee. The committee is begging Notre Dame, give us something to work with. Give us something to work with.
But we're the best worst team in that aspect because we're consistent enough to win, but we will never be a team that's just dubbing other teams like Alabama. Alabama has the respect not so much because they win, it's because they win by a lot versus everybody, everything. They just go out there and just,
Yeah.
With Notre Dame, it's like, but if you had to, you're playing the spread most of the time. You're not really thinking about us winning because you'll know that.
Yeah.
We're trying to play points because we're gonna make it close or come to a last second something. So that's what the nation sees us as a team that gets lucky. They see us as a team that get lucky every week, so we don't deserve to be winning all the games we do.
Yeah.
And then when we play a really good team, they always prove us right, and we get beat real bad, and they're like, "Oh, good grief." You know what I mean? So until we start whooping up on, we had to whoop up on Cincinnati this year. We didn't do it. Next year, I think Ohio State's on the schedule. We have to whoop up on them because we need to get some respect that we deserve to get the shot, even though we're beating who we're supposed to beat.
And even more than that, like it's cool because beating those teams will be a change under Brian Kelly because you will have beaten a top 5 team.
Yeah.
That's something consistently you haven't done under Brian Kelly. But even more than that, you can change the narrative by just dubbing the teams that you're supposed to beat.
We're not a double. We're not
Just
double.
double. Take it back to the Lou Holtz days where you just up 35-3 at halftime and just keep piling it on, putting up 50, 60 points.
Everything feel like a movie. Everything feel like we gotta fight to the end. Like every team is a Super Bowl team. When it's then these teams that play us the next week either get dubbed by a regular team or they, it's we're like part entertainment. It feels like we're the Washington Generals versus the Harlem Globetrotters because we're gonna make it look good.
Yeah.
We know we're gonna win every time, but we're gonna do some flashy things. We just gonna control the game. We're gonna play to the fans. We're gonna do all type of cool stuff at the game. You're gonna enjoy yourself. It's prime time. You ain't got nothing else to do but come to our game and watch us fake like we're gonna lose to the Washington Generals.
Right. Get the confetti in the bucket thrown on you at halftime.
Yeah, do all the antics and all the heartbreak, crazy stuff that can happen in a football game. And then we win in the end, and everybody goes home feeling good, but it's empty calories. Empty calorie wins. It's not an actual season. It's just we playing the same type of team every week that we're just playing around with till we end up beating in the last second.
So what's the easiest thing to do? Dub the teams you're supposed to beat or getting that big win against an Ohio State and Oregon or a top 5 program like that? Like what's the easier thing for Notre Dame to do in that next step?
The easier thing to do is dub the teams we're supposed to get the confidence to go into these games, to raise the stakes in Vegas. I mean, right now, because we play so close to everybody, nobody thinks that even if we got lucky like we did versus Clemson, nobody thought we was going to beat Clemson in the playoffs. If Trevor Lawrence came back, nobody thought that. So it was like, yeah, we beat Clemson, but we ain't beat the Clemson Tigers because it was a totally different game in the playoffs. So it just shows that until we start dubbing everybody that we're supposed to beat, these games that we're supposed to win that decides our season usually will mean more. It will give us some more confidence, even if we do beat them. Because think about it. We've beaten everybody and gotten there and been, less than desirable when we've gotten there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I don't even care to see us in there this year because it's like we already know what's up. We're not doing that with Georgia. Are you serious? It's like we're not equipped to do that because we struggle with Toledo. So how do we expect to have a shot at the championship when you playing a team like Georgia and Georgia looking at Toledo film like, oh, we're gonna we're gonna do some crazy things to them, and they don't have 14. So yeah.
Right now, bowl projections were slated to be in the Peach Bowl against Wake Forest, which would do nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. I don't care if Wake Forest goes into that game with 1 loss or undefeated. Does nothing. Because there's nothing people are going to say, oh, they're supposed to beat Wake Forest anyway.
Wake Forest should play like a Coastal Carolina team or something, or because like you said, it doesn't mean nothing. It's not even a Power Five or a great all-time college team that we would even be playing. It's like a team that got hot
Yeah,
and it's just really good this one year. So nobody's going to remember, oh, we played in the Pinstripe Bowl versus a hot 1 year out of random Wake Forest team. Nobody's going to look back on that game.
yeah,
Games like the LSU game, yeah. But this season reminds me a lot of the Pinstripe Bowl. We play Rutgers at the end and we dub Rutgers, and then it's like, okay, well, we have fun in New York.
yeah,
So playing, Kentucky, Wake Forest, Oklahoma State, it's just another game that you just wish that there was more to come from the season than to play those guys at the end. Not that they're not good, but you want to see a Notre Dame playing in Bama and making it competitive. You want to see a Notre Dame playing Ohio State, making it competitive, winning. So,
yeah. Well, Joshua Nip once again says the NY6 bowl projections aren't helping. What is beating Kentucky, Wake Forest, or Oklahoma State going to do? Where this program is right now, nothing. This program needs to be a top. They need to be the top 5 program.
Yeah, you're just playing games. It's like you're just going out there, running the table on the schedule, getting guys good accolades, and then that's it. It's like what is the point if you're not in no conference? So you're not playing for no conference rings and things.
Right.
You strictly and only playing for championships.
Mm-hmm.
And you so far from over the edge of getting there that you just out here winning games that you're supposed to win. You're just more talented. So the narrative's got to change at some point, or we'll be so good that we're bad. That we just, it would make it seem like some organizations in the NFL that aren't trying to win championships but trying to be entertaining. The same thing. Maybe we just trying to continue the tradition of being good and being almost.
Yeah. So once again, Notre Dame comes in at number 10 in the initial rankings of the college football playoff. Top 4, once again, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan State, and Oregon. Coming in at 5 is Ohio State, Cincinnati, 6, which is, you think Notre Dame players feel bad or Notre Dame feels bad as a program? Luke Fickell they set it up and they put the schedule up when they knew their team would be ready. They would, because they played this team when they were young.
Yeah,
they played the team they have when they're young, and they pretty much said in 2 years we know we'll be at this point in our program. We'll be ready to take on some good teams. They anticipated Indiana being much better, and Indiana and Michael Penix were supposed to be a really good team based upon what they did last year in the Big Ten. Unfortunately, man, they hit the skids this year. Michael Penix ended up getting hurt. That hurt the resume. They thought that winning Indiana and Notre Dame with that team would give them a clear shot to go ahead and get into the college football playoff. And right now, man, they're not buying it. They're not buying it.
it's tough.
Yeah, they view the Notre Dame game as a good win. I'm just not sure they view it as a great win.
Yeah, because they're not viewing us as handling what we're supposed to when it matters either. So
yeah.
I think we are good for what we are. It's like we know what we're getting almost. When you go to the bakery, they got Olympic pound cake,
right,
chocolate cake. We ain't going in there for no pizza.
Right.
You get pizza, but
that's like me, man. One time I went to Hooters and I got some crab legs.
Oh man,
and I ended up sick.
So you must be distracted.
Yeah, my boy's like, dude, why are you ordering crab legs from Hooters? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's the same thing. But if you in the mood for some cake, oh, we got it.
Yeah.
You're gonna enjoy it. You're gonna be like, man, I love this little bakery.
Bet.
But will we be a franchise bakery where we selling cakes out the drive-through? It's just a matter of time. Are we gonna commit to that, or do we enjoy being what we are? Little mom and pop shop.
Whew. Michigan comes in at 7. That's the one that really upsets you. Michigan being in front of Notre Dame. Oklahoma, Wake Forest, and Notre Dame. We talked about it last week. Go check out. We matched up Notre Dame against the top 10 in the AP top 25 last week. And we went game by game. And we felt like, hey, even the way Notre Dame had played up until last week prior to the North Carolina game, we both felt Notre Dame would dub Michigan and Michigan State.
Oh, for sure. I think too,
I
though,
actually respect Michigan State more than you do.
it's just like, I'll just look at it from a talent perspective. And the teams that are ranked right now in the top 4 are very talented. Oregon got Kayvon Thibodeau and everything else. Right. And so thinking about Kayvon Thibodeau versus our offensive line, we'll have some trouble.
Maybe not.
Some trouble.
Some trouble, yes. But I mean, they were just game playing like they did for Karlaftis.
Yeah, but and then you think about Bama and just the defenses. Like, I don't think we could get cute and be playing 2 quarterbacks against any of them teams.
That's
Georgia gonna eat it. We better not try 2 quarterbacks with Georgia. Let's try to get one of them hurt.
Listen here.
Or Bama, we'll get one of them hurt.
If you're talking about going to the NFL and bringing back all of the offensive line talent that we put in the NFL,
then 2015, 16.
Then cool. Right. Bring Tyler Buckner in the game. But with this current offensive line, man, that Tyler Buckner try to turn the corner with Dean and the rest of the crew. Jordan Davis is going to be in Jack Cohn's lap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All game long.
Yeah. Where's Jack running around? He already is not mobile like that. And they push in the pocket.
No, and I bet you they don't call a quarterback draw.
What?
Against either of those teams.
I don't even think Georgia blitzes anymore.
They did they had a cat blitz off the corner.
Yeah, but that's
against Florida that was well timed. And they did it.
Like everything
Florida was driving. Florida was driving and didn't expect it, and they came with a cat blitz out of a timeout.
But that's how you're really good, is that you just throw in blitzes here and there, and it just destroys momentum because you so focused on each down, just being like, all right, we think we know, we spend so much time game planning for it, and they can throw in random plays here and there and just disrupt your whole game plan.
And dude, I know everybody's like, dude, these dudes talk about Georgia every show. Hey, look, man, there are certain generational units. And you have to look. I witnessed the 85 Bears. I remember watching the 85 Bears as a kid. That's ingrained into my memory for life. I remember watching both three-peats of the Chicago Bulls. Like, I saw the dominance. Yeah. When you see dominance that is generational, you have to pay attention, and you have to give credit to whom credit is due.
Dan Mullen is a great coach, but 7 points,
bro.
I mean, come on. They put 44 up against LSU, but 7 against 7.
I think they boxed those 7 points up and mailed it to Florida.
But it's not even funny.
They told the scoreboard dude, they told the scoreboard guy, look, put 7 up there for Florida. We're going to give them 7.
And then we're going
to embarrass them.
Yeah, and then we're going to play.
And then we're going to play the game.
Yeah, 7. And that's like saying Florida bad. No. Florida puts up a lot of points against Bama.
Florida almost beat Bama.
Yeah, and Georgia said, "Nah, we're going to give you 7."
Dude, I mean, they literally came out and rushed for over 200 yards on the ground against Alabama. Pushed them around.
Pushed them around.
Bullied Alabama.
Tricked them, all type of plays, all down the field, up and down the field.
And Georgia was like, that's
No.
not it. We ain't back.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's crazy. And Dan Mullen pulling out all the plays. I mean, he had all the motions and Georgia just too much.
They ran a RPO, quick pass, and then tried to pass off the quick pass. And Georgia safety was like, I'm right here. What?
I mean, and then the fact that you watched them and they're hitting kids. Right. They're not like just no. They're crushing ball carriers, and I'm talking about physical, like making everything seem like, damn, how many yards they got to get?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can they lose? Any team can lose.
Any team can lose.
Any team can lose. They still have TJ Daniels and Stetson Bennett at quarterback.
No name. No name.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, yeah, Georgia can lose, but
if they lose, it'll be 3-7.
Man, if you love watching good football and good units and dominant units, man, watch them. Alabama, I still think I just really think Auburn is going to be playing Alabama for all the marbles in the SEC West. That game, the day after, right after Thanksgiving, is going to be for who goes to face Georgia in the SEC championship game. And I hope it's Alabama, because if Auburn finds a way, they're going to get – Bo Nix is going to get his head ripped off in the SEC.
I don't think Bo Nix is he even starting? I thought TJ Finley was starting now.
No, Bo Nix has started since that comeback win against LSU.
Yeah, well, that I'm not a Bo Nix fan. I don't think he can do it. I think Bryce Young is better than who did they lose? Who they have? Was it Tua that they had when they had to kick 6? Or was
that was AJ McCarron.
When they had to Bryce is a better player than AJ McCarron in terms of just being in control of the game.
Dude, their last 3 quarterbacks have been better than AJ McCarron.
Yeah, so I'm not thinking
AJ does have a national title. So
but that team he had, oh my God, we can talk about that. That's another
2012 squad.
Yeah, come on. Like that was silly. That was a silly team. We wasn't, but that even goes back that we have history on playing teams that we just had no business being in the same field, and we were the number 2.
Right.
So it's like, I know the college football playoffs look at us like, man, these guys, we love you, but damn, we be having people turn off at halftime watching us in the playoffs.
I'll tell you this, though.
At halftime.
Here is the silver lining. And Notre Dame fans, I'm telling you, when you watch Keon Keeley and you watch some of the other D-line commits that Mike Elston has brought into the fold in the next 2 cycles, you're saying to yourself, like, okay, now we're getting some athletes. Now we're getting some 6'4", 6'5", long arm, 4-star, 5-stars that can go up against these cats, and we can do some things.
Well, it'd be nice with a Chase Young type of player.
Keon Keeley is pretty good, bro.
If we had a kid like that, then having a quarterback wouldn't be as important, because we know we got lights out defense. Because like a Georgia, basically.
Georgia has some damn good running backs, though. There's some damn good running backs.
I mean, they gonna have some good ones, but
Lil Cook, Lil Dalvin.
But man, they just have a well-oiled machine right now. So from the playoff standpoints, I already know who's winning.
Yeah. Now, out of these
matter of respect, who gets in there with them.
Question for my guy Daniel Wade from Lucky Lefty Nation. Out of these 3 teams, Malik, who would you rather play? Michigan, Oklahoma, Ohio State?
Ohio State, because that's the only one that would make up for the whole season. Michigan. I mean, we already know the deal with Michigan. Oklahoma be good, but it'll be a high score game because they don't have any defense. So it'll be entertaining for the Oklahoma game to watch. I would probably wouldn't watch the Michigan one, but the Ohio State game would be the one I would want us to win the most.
First of all, don't you believe that there's no way he's not going to watch a Notre Dame Michigan game just for
I mean, I'd watch
the
it.
elation of Notre Dame dub in Michigan. He'll
Yeah,
be
we were dub.
at kickoff, and you know, I'm gonna go with Oklahoma because I feel like that's a team that can dub, and because their defense is really
Yeah, we can beat Oklahoma. That'd be a fun game to watch.
Their defense is really subpar. I think we would pressure Caleb Williams, but I think more than that, we would just keep him in the pocket.
But nobody would think like, oh, they'll be like, well, y'all supposed to be Oklahoma.
No.
Nobody would think we'll beat Ohio State.
I don't think they would think Notre Dame is supposed to beat Oklahoma. I'm talking about the media.
The media not going, like you said, the media not going to love us. But we know eye test, we're beating Oklahoma. We're just built better. Now, beating Ohio State, that's where we get respect, though. That's the
chances of that of beating Ohio State, I would put it at about 40%. No, I mean, I'm being objective. I'm being objective here. Right? What's our biggest week? Let's be honest, yo.
Oh, their receiver core is just too.
Their receiver core is like, right? Dude.
Look, Drake London had a day.
But it's
Josh Downs had a day, but they got three or four stallions out there.
Right. So it's not like, okay, if we don't care how many catches he gets, just let the others catch. No. They had 2 first-round picks.
Bonafide. Yeah. I think that's a respect game, though, because people going to look at that like, oh, they got some. So how are they going to pull this one off? They're not going to say that versus Oklahoma.
We need 2 Benjis from Kyron. Kyron has to get 2 Benjis in that game.
Kyron will make a high second round. He show out if we played Ohio State and won that game.
2 Benjis.
That'll change his whole. It'll change
Benjis, man. If we get 2 Benjis, from Kyron and Logan and whoever
and Jack Cone has like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Because look, Sean Clifford was moving the ball. Let's be real. At the horseshoe. And Jack Cone has faced Ohio State before. So he won't be in awe of Ohio State. He's played them before. So that's a very good matchup that you could feel comfortable with Notre Dame pulling an upset. But I think it will probably, if you looked at the FPI prediction, it probably would give Ohio State a 60% chance to win that game.
Yeah.
Maybe even higher.
I don't like the games when we are not the underdog because we usually win the games we're supposed to win.
Yeah.
So I think we will have the 55-50 or 55-45 advantage over Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At the least. But I know we will be down Ohio State in Vegas.
Yeah, I can see that. So now, give me a quick synopsis of how Notre Dame, I guess, lines up against the rest of the top 10. We already talked about Georgia, Alabama. There's no need to even do 5 seconds. That's it.
We could play with Oregon. We could play with Ohio State. That's about where we should be. We'll beat Michigan State. We'll beat them.
We'll beat Oklahoma. We'll beat
Oklahoma.
Wake Forest, and then Cincinnati in a rematch.
Yeah, we'll beat Cincinnati. All them other games outside of the Georgia, Alabama will be good games for us. That's about where we're at. So,
yeah, but we would prefer to have the brand that is Ohio State.
And that would even think it would be respect for us to beat Oregon. I think people would think we would beat Oregon.
Ohio State would be a really good matchup, and it would help in recruiting as well.
Yeah, we beat Ohio State. It'll be way big. That'll be like winning the playoffs for us this year. Everybody else is like, they'll be good games, but we should win those.
So, man, I see all of our people with their comments. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate Lucky Lefty Nation. As I said before, we dropped the slant earlier. Can't knock the hustle. Go check it out. It is some funny stuff. Some really funny stuff. We always spin it different right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Go check it out as soon as you leave. As soon as we end this college football live show, go check it out. This has been the CFP live show. Started a little late. Next week for week 2 reveal, we'll be starting right at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll be talking about it, previewing it. I think they drop it around 7:10. They start revealing the teams, and then we'll talk about it as we see it live right here on Lucky Lefty Podcast, the YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. I see your comments. Super Chat is not available because in order to cause Super Chat to be available, you guys have to help us get to a certain amount of views. That's how it happens. If we hit a certain amount of views, you share, we get subscribers, Super Chat becomes available in the settings, and bam, there it is. We can Super Chat all day long. So tell your friends, let them know, yo, you want to talk Notre Dame football? Want to hear about Notre Dame football with a different spin on it? It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. This week on the preview show, we'll tease you. We have an all-time defensive lineman joining us to preview Navy. There's no better person to talk about Navy than this guy who got down and dirty in the trenches against the midshipmen. So we'll talk about that on the preview show. Go check out our last preview show for North Carolina. Jordan Cornette gave us a great interview talking about that matchup and some other things in the state of Notre Dame. So check out all of our great content on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. As always, follow us at Lucky Lefty Pod on Instagram. There it is. Lucky Lefty Pod on YouTube. Podcast on YouTube and on Instagram and Twitter, Lucky Lefty Pod. Give us a follow. Hit us up. Subscribe, like, share. As always, featuring and brought to you by Honora Whiskey, that premium American whiskey. Go to honorawhiskey.com right now. Order that. Something you need to sip on Saturdays.
Man, I need to, as a side note, we need to send one to my guy Jalen Smith, man. I don't know what the league is doing, but this is crazy times, and the disrespect is crazy. He needs a home. Matt LaFleur, what's going on? Jerry Jones, what's going on? We're gonna have to get on some representation for my boy Smooth, man.
The Jerry Jones thing I understood because that cat Michael Parsons is a beast. Like I get it. I get it. And I'm not saying cut him. But, it was a money thing. It was absolutely a money thing because they didn't want to pay the $9 million, next year and the year after that. So, man, I understood that it was financial. The Packers are injury laden. I thought he would come in and be a nice piece, a rotational piece. And I guess they're just not pleased with what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So, hey, this has been the CFP live show. We gave you 2 episodes today. 2. We spent it different. 2. Oh, I appreciate that, Daniel, man. Let everybody know. Definitely the best ND content YouTube channel. We spent it different. Go watch the slant. Can't knock the hustle. Tweet it out for us. Post it on your Facebook pages. Post it in your Facebook groups. Let everybody know. The best Notre Dame podcast out there is the Lucky Lefty Podcast. I am Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics, the original Lucky Lefty himself. That dude right there at Overtime Malik Zaire. Yo, we should do it. You really touched on something today, man. That broadcast during the games that would be really dope.
We'll have to do that.
We might have to do a Manning broadcast during the game. We're gonna pick a game, maybe the Virginia game.
We should definitely do the Virginia game.
We do a Manning type Manning type live show right here on the Lucky Lefty channel. Everybody can tag in and just talk about the game, and we'll talk about it live right here. So yeah, and we're telling you now.
Yeah,
Notre Dame, Virginia, live show with us. We'll be talking about it, and we want you guys to be here, logged on, and we'll talk about everything as it happens. Notre Dame, Virginia. We'll get more details as it gets closer to that game. All right. Preview show. Posting tomorrow night. Special guest. You're going to want to hear this dude talk Notre Dame and Navy. Some war stories to tell us right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. All right. Go get some of that content today. We gave you enough. Don't ask us for more. Is this not why you're here?
Are you not entertained?
This is not why you are here.
Are you not entertained?
All right, man. Lucky Lefty Nation, we appreciate you. See you next time.
See you.